What he's trying to do is get a reduced sentence. We were thinking about building a building. I decided ultimately not to do it. Even if he was right, it doesn't matter, because I was allowed to do whatever I wanted during the campaign.
He is afraid of the truth and doesn't want Mueller or anyone else to uncover it.
If anything the president has said is true, that there's no there there, why are all his closest associates being found guilty of lying about their ties to Russia?
Surprised us, but we're told that the White House knew about it Wednesday night. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein knew about it on Monday, that Michael Cohen was going to appear in court and plead guilty to lying to Congress. U.S. versus Michael Cohen, court filing. Cohen made false statements to both the House and Senate Intelligence Committees to, one, minimize links between the Moscow project, this is the Trump project in Moscow potential, and individual one, Trump, and two, give false impressions that the Moscow project ended before the Iowa caucuses in the very first primary in hopes of limiting the ongoing Russia investigations. The Moscow project was discussed multiple times within the company and did not end in January 2016. Instead, as late as approximately June 2016, Cohen and individual two, believed to be Felix Sater, discussed efforts to obtain Russian governmental approval for the Moscow project. Now, back in January of 2017, President Trump tweeted this. He also talked about it, but he tweeted this: "Russia has never tried to use leverage over me. I have nothing to do with Russia. No deals, no loans, no nothing." Let's bring in our panel. Former White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer, Susan Page, Washington Bureau Chief at USA Today, and Molly Hemingway, Senior Editor at The Federalist. Okay, Ari, your impressions of today, how significant, what it means for the president and the Mueller investigation.
Well, you know, as Charles Krauthammer used to say, this feels like a cover-up of something that is not a crime. There is no underlying issue here that would require somebody or make somebody think they need to lie. What difference does it make if this project ended in January of 2017 or January 2016 or June of 2016? So when Michael Cohen lies about it, what's the purpose? What's the motive? And I can't see any motive here. Why would he do it? There's no underlying crime. There's nothing wrong with a president. It may be unsavory for a person running for the president to do business deals abroad while they're running for president, but it's not a crime.
Susan.
If you want to know whether President Trump thinks this is a serious issue, just look at his response, which has been quite agitated. And he clearly thinks this is a serious story. And I think there's a big difference between January and June, actually, because by June it was clear that Donald Trump was going to be the Republican nominee for president. And at that time, his personal lawyer is reaching out to a Kremlin official for help on a private business deal at a time the Russians are also have a concerted effort to meddle in our presidential election to hurt Hillary Clinton and help Donald Trump. That is a web that is being revealed by Special Counsel Mueller. It's not over yet. This isn't the last disclosure we're going to have, but it seems to me that that is a troubling that's a troubling context to look at today's plea deal.
Molly.
It's just worth remembering that the special counsel was set up to investigate treasonous collusion with Russia to steal an election, not to investigate whether Donald Trump is a global businessman and was doing business in the year 2016. It is good, though, to hold people accountable for lying to Congress. It is a very bad thing to do. And it's been unfortunate that we've seen so few people held accountable for lying to Congress, even in this Russia story. For instance, Christopher Steele, who built the entire Russia dossier, was referred by the head of the Senate Judiciary Committee almost a year ago because they knew he lied to the FBI. Glenn Simpson gave testimony. He's the guy who was hired by Hillary Clinton to set up the whole Russia story. He gave testimony that was at odds with what Bruce Orr gave, meaning that one or both of them lied to Congress. So it's important that everybody be held accountable for lying to federal officials. It's not even just them. You look at James Clapper, who lied to Congress about spying on everyone, John Brennan, who lied to Congress about spying on Congress, Hillary Clinton, who lied about whether she knew how classified systems worked in her interview with the FBI. So holding people accountable for lying is a good thing. It should be done overall.
Sure. Donald Trump's not, at the time, January 2017, under oath, as he's tweeting that he had no ties, no nothing, no loans, obviously. He's not under oath when he's telling the reporters that he had nothing ever to do with Russia.
But he didn't have business deals with Russia.
Well, it didn't develop, but it was being discussed as it continued on until June, as opposed to January. My point is that Is there something here as far as money? You know, we don't know. Deutsche Bank did a lot of his deals. They got raided for the Panama Papers today. There's no tangential. We don't know that it's tied at all. But if there's a money link here, is it beyond then lying to Congress and it's Russia holding something over Donald Trump's head?
But I think you just used the magic words we should all abide by. We don't know. We don't know. And the problem I have with this town is when people don't know, it doesn't stop them from talking. They make the worst accusations they can make against people in public life who they do not like, even if they do not know any of the underlying facts, is what Senator Schumer did today, which is what Senator Warner did today.
But I'm saying to you, I'm asking you, where potentially could it go?
I'm not willing to speculate because only Bob Mueller will know that. And I don't think any of us should try to put ourselves in Mueller's shoes and speculate it's one way or another. If Mueller's got the goods, Mueller will deliver the goods and will judge at that time. If he doesn't, this town owes Donald Trump a huge apology for 2 years.
And is there a sense, Susan, in this town that it's coming to a head, that it comes before Christmas, perhaps?
I think there is a sense that Robert Mueller seems to be closer and closer to making a report on some aspects of his investigation. His investigation is not going to end then, but the aspects involving President Trump most directly that we've been so curious about. Something else is going to happen in January, and that is Democrats in the House are going to gain the power to have hearings and demand testimony and subpoena documents. And the question you just raised about did Russia launder money through the Trump Organization, that's been one of the things that's been speculated about. That is a specific issue that Adam Schiff, the new chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, said today he is going to start pursuing as soon as he's able.
Molly.
We don't start with finding, we don't say, here's the person, find me the crime. We look for crimes and then we determine what should be done about it. And there has been so much crazy speculation without any evidence of a crime. And yet we actually have evidence of all sorts of criminal things, like criminal leaking of classified information against Trump officials, lying to a FISA court, all sorts of problems like this that aren't even being worried about by people who think, well, if we just keep digging, maybe we can finally get Trump. How about we deal with actual crimes and start investigating those?
All right, I'm going to play this protection of Special Counsel Mueller. First from the minority leader now, Chuck Schumer.
This idea that we don't need to pass legislation to protect the special counsel because there's no way President Trump will interfere with the investigation is flat out absurd.
Our job here should be to protect Robert Mueller so that he can do his job. And he can do his job not for him, but for the American people.
Bob Mueller has been left alone. I think he's going to continue to be left alone. If I was really, really stressed about Bob Mueller, I'd do something. I'm not worried about Bob Mueller.
All right, the president has said he's not firing Bob Mueller. Matt Whitaker has said he doesn't have any plans to get rid of Bob Mueller. But there is really an effort on Capitol Hill to protect Bob Mueller.
From what? I mean, if Donald Trump and Acting Attorney General Whitaker were threats to the Mueller probe, then why did Bob Mueller get the plea agreement with Michael Cohen? He had no problems getting that. No one's interfering with him. No one's cutting his budgets. No one's even going to say you're laid off in case the government closes down. So it's an unconstitutional move in the first place, which is why I oppose it as somebody who used to work in the White House. Congress does not have the power to tell the president you can or cannot fire somebody who is an inferior officer in the executive branch. So it's unconstitutional. And I don't know how you can say you're trying to defend Bob Mueller and the Constitution by passing an unconstitutional law.
Republican Lee Zeldin of New York. I kind of felt like you deposing her there. The congressman sits on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, maybe even asking some of the questions that you might ask, Congressman. Thank you for being with me. What does this tell us about the Mueller investigation?
Well, for one, the president, who has personal knowledge that he didn't do anything wrong, he continues to cooperate. He's answering questions. A lot of documents have been provided. This investigation appears to be going well beyond with this ever-expanding scope that is a lot further than the purpose for creating and appointing the special counsel in the first place. The president is ready for this investigation to end, but what's more important than that is our country is ready for it to end. So the Mueller investigation hopefully is one that will be winding down soon, because it really is improper for there to be an investigation like this throughout the entire time that President Trump is in office. I, as a member of Congress, I'm serving this is the end of my 4th year now. I'm not aware of any evidence whatsoever that the president had colluded with the Russians. So until we come in contact with any information whatsoever, the justification for not only continuing this investigation but also expanding the probe, like what we're seeing, well beyond of why it was created in the first place, we have a lot of members of Congress who have a problem with that too.
All right, Michael Cohen, were you surprised at all about the entry of a guilty plea, if you will, that he put in this morning, lying to Congress?
Well, what strikes me about it is that Mueller's star witness has now admitted to being a liar criminally. And I'm a former prosecutor, and looking for facts and elements of a crime, I see so much that is missing about what gets alleged maybe in the news, or those who want to take down the president, who are desperate, who are praying to take down the president and his family. There's so much that is missing here, and now you have a star witness who has less credibility than he did yesterday, and an investigation that has less credibility than it did yesterday. And it seems like one indictment and guilty plea after another of what we're seeing it is getting away from the heart of why this special counsel was created in the first place, and that was for there to be accountability and transparency with regards to whether or not the Russians interfered with the 2016 election, and so much of the crimes that get pursued are completely unrelated to the Trump campaign, and a lot of what is taking down these individuals, like what we're seeing today with Michael Cohen, is with regards to lying. And by the way, regardless of whether it's this case or any other case, and you just had Senator Kennedy share his thoughts in the last segment, is whether you're talking to Congress, you're talking to the Department of Justice, it's really important to be honest, because if you lie, you're going to get in trouble for it.
Yeah, I spoke with Senator Kennedy last night on the story, and that's exactly what he was saying. Real quickly before I let you go, how do you make a deal with what you call a criminal liar? I mean, he's striking yet another deal. And is it significant that he's doing it in your state of New York or in any state?
Well, with regards to that piece, geography and jurisdiction, is that you don't need a special counsel to be going after so much of what it appears Bob Mueller is looking into now. The Department of Justice can handle that on its own, and also, why with Jeff Sessions he's left the Department of Justice. The reason why this was created really started with, it stemmed from a recusal made by Jeff Sessions as the Attorney General. So now let's get back to normalcy within the Justice Department. Let's have an Attorney General who's in charge of the DOJ, because to your point on jurisdiction and geography, and this happening in New York, this really can be happening all under the normal chain of command of the Department of Justice, as opposed to making the special counsel even bigger than it was before.
Does Michael Cohen lessen the years in prison that he might have to spend by doing this deal making?
Probably. I mean, that's probably the whole motive for doing it in the first place, is to be able to get favorable treatment. And there's a lot that Michael Cohen has gotten in trouble with that's completely unrelated to President Trump. This was Michael Cohen's own actions, and looks like he's cutting a deal to get favorable treatment for himself, even if that might be harming a president of the United States. It might be embarrassing our justice system. It's Michael Cohen doing what's best for Michael Cohen, regardless of the consequences. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. I don't know. I had not heard anybody put it the way you did, criminal liar. How do you trust that person? How do you cut a deal with somebody like that?
No credibility.
Congressman, thank you so very much. Congressman Lee Zeldin of New York. Good to see you.
Thank you. God bless you. And God bless America.